what is your appetite for commercial work? I want a seven-figure business. Our average owner closes just over 51%.
Before you explore franchise options, take a few minutes to understand how you are wired. The assessment link is below. Welcome to Franchise Focus. Today, we're exploring a franchise that often flies under the radar, but for the right entrepreneur, can be a really compelling business model. Gotcha Covered operates in the custom window treatment space, blending in home consultation, design, project management, and relationship driven sales. I'm joined by Brayden Stefka to talk about what makes this brand different, how franchisees build the business, and what type of owner is most likely to succeed. So, welcome, Brayden. How are you?
Better than I deserve. Life is great, and I'm happy to be here.
That's great. That's great. Give us a little bit of background about yourself, and then we'll jump into the world of Gotcha Covered.
Well, I've been with Got You Covered for about 15 months, so a little over a year. I did not come from the world of franchising. However, I thoroughly enjoy helping people through a fork in the road. If I had to say what I love to do most, it's to be an encourager. And so, what I have found truly to be incredibly fulfilling in this role is helping people walk through the process of not just owning a business, realizing their capabilities that most of the time people think, I can't do that. And seeing that light bulb of you're selling yourself short with the processes and the systems that we have, you actually can. So that's what I enjoy doing most.
That's fantastic, and I'm sure you have a lot of opportunity. That it is a very rewarding to see people go through different cycles, and everybody coming in with a different background and different story, but often want similar things to pave their own way. Often when people think of window coverings, they probably picture the big box retailer and whatnot. But help us understand how Gotcha Covered actually competes in that space, or where you guys find success.
I'll tell you, probably the most common response that I get when I say, "Why are you looking at a window treatment business?" People say, "I honestly don't know." I did not have any desire for window treatments, but I worked with a coach, a consultant who said, "Hey, this is something worth looking at." And I really enjoy that starting place because the reality is window treatments are a need in every market. Every
Yep.
home, every business has windows and they all need covering. And so it really is the question of when and not if. And so with that said, I would tell you that the reason that Got You Covered exists, not only because of the need, but it's specifically the need for the experience. And what I mean by that is, yes, big box stores offer window treatments. There are other franchises that offer window treatments. However, there was a gap for the experience, meaning everyone wants an experience in life. Everyone has emotion behind what they purchase. And so our value proposition is to be a high-end white glove experience to people. It's their home. This is a safe space that matters. And so we want people who can come in and love on people and serve them, but offer a wow factor. That's something that I probably never imagined window treatments could do.
Well, that's excellent. And do you also do commercial as well?
We do commercial as well. We have a few national accounts, things like Verizon, Petco. So we do have some national accounts as well. But yeah, businesses have windows too.
Yeah. No, exactly. What's typically the split between an owner, and does that vary over time in terms of residential versus commercial?
As we look globally, 80% is going to be residential. This matters on a few things. One, what is your appetite for commercial work? It's a completely different um, execution. It's also typically something that you have to build up to. There's a lot involved with it. And also your market. If you live in an area that's completely industrial and there's a lot to be had there, well, then you'll probably have more commercial work than, the average.
Okay. Great, great. Um, and what do you find tends, like you said, everybody's got, it's not if, it's when. What do you find drives demand? And does it range from everything from remodeling to new home to designers, or how do you guys build awareness and grab those customers?
So I'll tell you two things. One, this is a highly relational business, and I'll cover that. But there's three main phone calls that we get. Hey, I just built a new house, and
Okay.
newsflash for new homeowners, your builder doesn't put window treatments in most of the time. Secondly, statistically, every 5 to 7 years, a homeowner will renovate their space. They want to keep it fresh and keep it current with trends. So we get a call for that. And then thirdly, uh, whenever I moved to a new area, right, the job brought me to Atlanta. I didn't buy a new house, but it's new to
Right.
me. And then when you do that, typically there's the desire to make it unique, make it your own. And so window treatments are a very cost effective way to do that. And so I always go back to the relational side. How do we attract customers? Really, with any type of home service model, people like to work with who they like. It's
Hmm.
the trust and credibility that you can build into your communities. And so we see that 65% of our business comes from B2B referral partners. So if I'm a new owner, I got you covered. I'm spending a lot of time meeting with home builders, remodeling companies, the painter, because what happens is as they complete their job in a home,
Yeah.
and I just went through this, you paint the walls, and guess what? Your white blinds don't look that white anymore. They go, "Hey, painter, I've never bought window treatments, or it's been a while. Who would you use?" And
Hmm.
I go, "I've got a friend named Brayden. He has a fully custom window treatment. Awesome guy. Here's his phone number." And so it matters greatly that you love people, you're good at building relationships, and it's not that you have to have the experience in it. That's why we have 6 weeks of training, but it's that you're willing to do that and that you see the value because that's a big deal. Be a part of your community, serve people because that's who people want to work with.
No, absolutely. So when someone comes through your process and they decide to move forward, what is their initial 60 days versus, longer term, like maybe in 2 years? What are they doing day to day? And how does that evolve?
Yeah. So, as I said earlier, we have a 6-week training program.
Yeah.
This training is designed for 2 main type of people. 1, probably never owned a business before, and 2, you did not wake up one morning dreaming of owning a window treatment business. And so it's all things how to run a successful business, but window treatments. And so throughout this process, particularly like you said, for the first stages of running your business, you're doing 3 main things. We're doing the networking and marketing, so Chamber of Commerce events, BNI groups, etc. We're doing the in-home consultation, so we're being invited into people's homes to provide a solution for their need. And then thirdly, we're managing typically a subcontract installer. So you're working with someone in your community that knows how to install blinds, and it's purely the coordination of product coming in versus client, we're going to be here on this date to install it. That's really it. It's a pretty simple, pretty lean model.
Absolutely. Okay. And do people tend to scale though with adding on the salespeople over time? And is there certain metrics that you're looking for?
Yeah, so as you look at our item 19, our average volume right now is about 580,000. Because it's such a lean model, you can do this by yourself. You
Yeah.
don't need a lot of employees. I think that's a big driver. However, when you start to really think about building a business and you're thinking about, I want a 7-figure business and I want XYZ, a lot of times people then will hire a salesperson or maybe a dedicated admin, someone to help them just kind of run things and keep it smooth. So absolutely. I mean, if you look at our, top performers, they have a few salespeople and they probably have some in-house installers. And so absolutely, if you have someone whose long-term goal is to work on the business versus in it, it's being done today. But we just say, hey, it's going to start with you. You need to make sure that the foundation is built right before you build the house.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, in terms of, who may the challenges that a new owner may face, let's say, what do you guys often see and how do you help them get over that?
No, I would say with any business, I think sometimes the common misconception is I buy a franchise and day one, money just starts pouring in.
Hmm.
Not typically the case for anything. You have to build the awareness, you have to build the mill, if you will. And so, what I always encourage people is hey, you have to understand there's a grind period of this. And so, I would say the biggest challenge is staying dedicated to the grind. Yes, there's going to be people who tell you no. Again, window treatments are a win, not an if. So, it's not typically a no, it's typically a not right now. And so,
Yeah.
it's being patient for when that need arises. But we have dedicated business coaches on our team. And so, as a new owner starts their business, they have a one-to-one connection with a coach who's calling them weekly to talk about what's going great, what's going not so great, and how do we fix it. On top of that, we have monthly trainings that are ongoing. We have, of course, our conferences, and there's consistently the community mindset. I'll tell you, I got you covered has a high culture of collaboration, meaning the last thing that we want is an owner to feel like they got the training and their starter package and good luck or run a business. No, this is high tides raise all ships. We certainly value the family and an owner will feel that.
Absolutely. And then in terms of the installers, is how does an owner typically find those folks, or are they doing that themselves as well?
Yeah, so we teach them to fish. And so what I mean by that is we're training them on how do you find them? Where do you look? What are the right things to vet them on? What are some red flags? So again, we're training them to find good people in their communities that they can partner with. And then of course, the window treatment industry is a pretty tight circle. Once you get to know somebody, it's a really good way to start sort of the trail of, oh well, they know this
Yeah.
person. So you just gotta enter into it.
Yeah, yeah. So you typically need, people that are, yeah, very engaged, want to be in the community, comfortable in that going into people's homes. And that's often what I've heard from a couple people I've shown home services to. They're like, I don't want to be in someone's home. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess that's not a fit for you. And I don't always know the reason why, but um I think it is, just that personal connection and having to walk someone through that sales. And I think they're probably picturing in their mind, more of a high pressured sales. But talk a little bit about, the design support, technology that you use, estimating, and actual product and how that all matters and fits together.
Yeah. And I want to touch on that real quick. I agree that some people are not cut out to go into people's homes. But remember, our brand positioning is that we are a high end white glove service. So
Yeah.
we're targeting a higher end consumer. And frankly, I want to go into the house. That's a cool home. I want to see
Yeah.
what that looks like on the inside.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's not right for everyone, but you as a business owner have discretion and you're trying to get into nice homes. Who doesn't want to
Yeah.
see that?
That's right.
So technology, we have a few proprietary softwares. One of them that's probably the coolest is our visionary app called Gotcha Inspired. So I'll just play some scenario here. Let's say I own Gotcha Covered. Laura, you're my client. I'm going to send you access to our app before I ever get into your home. And Gotcha Inspired operates a lot like Pinterest, meaning that it's a visualizer tool where you can scroll and look at different ideas and photos. And you look at every room of a house and at any style that you want. And what ends up happening is you start saving things to your board, your account, and I actually have access to that on the back end. So when I come to your house next Wednesday, I know that you like Roman shades and I know that you really seem to like this color of red. And so it allows me to start tailoring to your taste, which enhances the experience.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, our team, soft goods is something that people always talk about. I don't really know drapes, and we're 60% male owned, and guys go, I don't really understand this. You don't need to. Again, we have a dedicated team that we have two soft goods specialists. So when you get a big drapery job and you go, hey Michelle, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. She goes, that's okay. Let's get on the computer. Let's build out your quote together. Let me help you with the design element. And so again, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have it all under understanding, but you have the willingness to learn and be resourceful.
Yeah, I know. I think that that's really important. Just personally speaking, been challenged. One time I had someone come in my house years ago, and I was really looking for the guidance because I didn't know, but I knew I wanted some type of drapery, and they couldn't pull it together. They just couldn't meet, and I ended up not doing anything. So now I know that I got to reach out to Coach, but yeah, it's interesting. It's got to have some options, and if they don't have to design it right on the space, if they can come back with some good options and be able to talk to that, I
You
think
know,
it's important.
I think it seems daunting because you think, I don't know, there's so many options. The best owner, in my opinion, just knows how to ask good questions. First and
Yeah.
foremost, hey, what are we looking for today? What caused the need? And if they say, actually my kids, they don't nap, it's too bright, so I'm trying to make the room dark. Well, guess what? We just narrowed our search to a much easier, a bite-sized piece of product lines. Or, hey, my energy bill is so expensive. I've got to cut it down. Well, now we just narrowed. That's what I mean. It's about asking good questions, being observant. If
Yeah.
everything in the house is blue, guess what? We like blue. It seems daunting, but it's really not rocket science.
Excellent. Excellent. So you mentioned you talked a lot about the networking, and that drives a lot of the business. How does digital marketing work, and is that led by corporate, and
Yeah.
what does that tend to drive? Yeah.
So digital marketing is all done by us for them through a third party vendor. So managing their websites, Google, SEO, PPC, right? Trying to help them get to the top of the page, search words. We actually create their social sites, so Instagram, Facebook, and this third party will post content for them multiple times a week. So if 65 comes from them, that means 35 comes from this. So we know it's important, and we sort of do that to help
Hmm.
kind of keep the show running, help with algorithms. But I certainly encourage people, even on top of that, post before and afters of your jobs, you being
Yeah.
involved. I'll tell you this, people don't buy from Gotcha Covered, they buy from Laura because they like Laura, and so that's what I mean is it's a great brand, there's awesome resources to help you be successful, but you have to make it your own.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And in terms of that learning curve when someone starts, you said that you go through 6 weeks of training. Where is that? How's that broken out, and what's that curve like as they're ramping that business typically?
So it's 5 weeks virtual, just like you and I are talking here, it is live with our trainer, and you're
Yep.
typically gonna have other new owners coming in, so it's a group, and actually what's cool is we're starting to see that culture built of they're their own little sub team.
Yeah.
They stay in contact throughout their business because they went through training together. And then there's gonna be 1 week of in-person training at our Denver home office, and so this is where you're taking all those skills and putting them to practice. So everything that you would do in a given day, your pre-qualification calls, your in-home consultations, the basic measuring just to start building up quotes. Basically for the week, you're doing this over and over and over again so that when you hit the ground running, you're ready to go. I will tell you something that's really cool is by week 2, we start networking, pre-selling, meaning you have initial marketing material. You're going out to your local community events going, hey, I just opened a business. I'm not ready to take appointments until, this date, but I'm ready because
Uh-huh.
relationship time to build awareness takes time. So we're actually seeing people come through training and they've already have multiple booked appointments for when they launch because they started early. So it's important.
Wow, wow. Is there, I don't know if you could disclose this, like an average in terms of closing ratio for folks that are having those appointments?
Well, what I can disclose is we look at just our overall closing ratios. And in our item 19, it actually breaks down if this is our average, but what's that 12 to 24 month doing? What's that 24 to 36 month doing? But they're all about the same, which is encouraging, meaning that we know our training is working from the get go. But our average owner closes just over 51%. So they're closing over half the homes that they go into.
Wow. No, I think that's gotta be very good, I would imagine, compared to standards. Wow. So that's pretty productive. I mean, you're gonna get 1 out of 2. Any other, importance with the vendor relationships, with the product, or is it back like you said, that, that software you have, the app, and then asking the good questions, but I know you're focusing more on the higher end and those products accordingly, but anything else that really helps, someone visualize, the experience of Got You Covered versus some of the other types of brands out there in terms of home services?
Yeah. I always tell people there's two topics of discussion when you think about what's the difference between Gotcha Covered and the next one. There's what the end consumer sees, and there's what you see as the owner. What's the benefit and effect for working with Gotcha Covered versus the next one? So we've
Right.
talked a few of those. The other enhancement things, it's little touches, meaning the average competitor is going to show up in a Chevy 3500 wrapped van. It's the moving billboard. We are first off a remote based business, so we have a lower overhead because we're fully custom. We don't need the inventory, but we also don't require that van. Imagine it if you're trying to be a high end service, that interior designer doesn't show up in a 3500 van. She shows up in her personal car. And so in the same
Right.
way, we do the same. So it has a higher end, more exclusive feel. It's little things as well, like don't walk in with product. Don't walk in with stuff in your hand. They think you're trying to sell them something. Walk in just to get to know them. Build that rapport and relationship first, because again, they're going to buy from the person that they like the most. And so it's little stuff like that that you feel from the end consumer. But just as importantly is what's the benefit to you as the owner. And I would tell you a big one is being part of Five Star, because Five Star is our parent company. That's a platform
Mm.
exclusively in home services. We get access to things at a much more affordable rate, even healthcare. Our owners have access to affordable healthcare because of the buying power and the volume that you will not get at a standalone brand. It's also things like our buying group securing 27 suppliers. We have 27 vendor partners that create custom treatments for us.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
Last but not least, flat fee royalty. I can't find a dispute against flat fee royalty. A percent based, which is standard, is just fine. But when you start looking at the value add and the savings on a flat fee, it's really hard to beat.
So I think, yeah, you really hit on some important things. And as you're guiding people through when they're trying to envision, I mean, culture matters a lot, but you've got some really distinct, important features there that is worth someone evaluating. On paper, I'm sure it stands out very good. And then, just really coming down to personal, can they see that. When you talk to people, are they often looking at flooring businesses, remodel, are they looking at similar home services, and how do you help them navigate that on what's the right fit for them?
I would tell you the most common decision making criteria is when a candidate is working with someone like you, Laura. It's, hey,
Hmm.
I don't want a showroom. I don't want the big investment of brick and mortar. Look, I've been a part of a team and managed teams my whole career. I don't want that again. I want something that I can do by myself. And if I
Okay.
want to grow a team, great, I can do that, but it's not required. And then
Okay.
thirdly, I would
Yeah.
say, a high margin business. I want something that I can be very flexible with my time, but still make good money. Our average gross profits over 60%. It is a high margin business with average tickets over $4,500. It
Yeah.
allows you to be highly effective with fewer versus trying to be highly efficient with many. So it's a lifestyle. I want to be flexible, autonomous, but still make decent money. That's the triggers that I hear. And that's what I help people understand is, hey, I don't care that you buy got you covered. I love the brand. I think it works. But what I care is what is your life? What do you want it to look like? And which model fits it best?
Wow. Yeah. Wow. No, that's fantastic. I think that's very, very helpful. Anything that you are hoping owners are asking while they're going through that, or potential owners asking as they're going through this evaluation process?
So I think people have to understand that we take the mutual evaluation process very seriously, meaning that we understand that this has to be the right fit for you, but you have to be the right fit for us because no one wants to fail. No one wants to see you fail.
Right.
And so some of the things that are really encouraging to hear is not when people say, okay, well, what are you going to do for me? It is a very different mindset versus what makes a successful owner?
Yeah.
What are the things that I need to do to get there? Because what that tells me is you're probably ready to own a business. I think a common misconception is people think, well, I'm buying a franchise, so they're gonna build a business for me. That is
Right.
not true. What we've done is created a robust set of systems and processes that work. It is a
Yeah.
amazing tool, but that tool doesn't work unless you pick it up and use it. And so
Yeah.
I tell people, you are owning a business. It is your business to run. Use the systems and processes to do it, but it's you. I can't make you get out of bed every morning and do it.
Somewhat random question after that. That's very interesting. It's just, and I should know this, but talk about the territory size and how you design that for someone.
Yeah. So we specifically look at household income levels. And if we're targeting a higher end consumer, we have to make sure that we have higher end clientele. And so it's 30,000 qualified homes makes up a market or a territory. And what a qualified household is for when we look at every market, we look at what's first and foremost the average household income because Albuquerque, New Mexico is different than New York, right?
Yep.
So, what is average? And then whenever we can find 30,000 households that make above average and more,
Okay.
now we've got the clientele that says they can afford the average in cost of living, but they have some cushion on top to go nuts with window treatments.
Excellent. Excellent. Anything else that you think is important that someone should consider as they're, looking for the right fit for them?
Hmm. I would say again I use three buckets of decision making criteria. It's what is their goals for their time, their finances, and then fulfillment. I think a lot of times people know that they want something, but they don't really know what that is.
Yeah.
And so they rely on people like you and I to help
Mhm.
out. And so it first comes down to what is the big why that you're doing this. Having a good why means everything. If it's just to make more money or you can make more money doing a lot of things. Like
Yeah.
there's got to be a deeper why that you hold on to because when you have that bad day and people tell you no, not right now, if you don't have it, you're going to look for a way out.
Yeah.
So you get have a good why and then get really
Great way.
clear on your goals.
That is an awesome way to evaluate that, and just constantly be thinking that. And that's helpful to me just to remind people a very clear way to picture it, because you're right. I mean, we're all going to have those tough days, and you do need a deeper why. Business has, it has its huge upsides, but it definitely has its challenges, and it's pushing through, and finding the one that really speaks to you. I, I appreciate this, Brayden. Very valuable. I think this is a wonderful opportunity. Sounds like a fantastic fit for a lot of people. You brought up some key points that remind me of the ideal type of person that this would probably resonate with. Because I do talk to plenty of people that are like, I'm done managing a lot of people. I don't want a huge workforce. I want a simpler model. Don't want huge infrastructures, but they're ready to drive their own profit, their own business, their own, results, if you will. Yeah. No, thank you. No, I really appreciate this. This is helpful, and look forward to continuing conversations with you.
Absolutely. I'm honored to be on, and thanks again. And just a non-solicited public service announcement for those listening. Use someone like Laura. There are so many business options out there, thousands actually, and I guarantee you that you will get overwhelmed. Work with someone who knows the craft, they understand the model so that they can help you narrow that in because it's important. It's probably a make or break whether you find the right fit or not.
Thank you. I agree. Thank you so much. All
Like,
right. Thanks again. Bye bye.
bye bye.